Okay, so wow, that's a bright light. So this talk is going to be very, very different from the previous talk. The previous talk is about kind of mind-blowing technical stuff. I don't have any of that. It's trying to, in my case, I'm trying to do normal people, like designers, to try to do like stuff what the previous guys were doing. So trying to build tools for those guys so they can do those things without really having to like get too much deep into code. So my name is Ricardo Cabello. On the demo scene, I used some of those names and maybe some, but I forgot probably. And now use the Mr. The One on the internet. I maintain this library called 3D.js, which is a WebGL library for JavaScript. It started more like a Canvas, kind of like trying to do 3D with Canvas, but like now when WebGL landed and everything, now it's become like a kind of a way of like doing WebGL stuff in an easy way. So I've been working on that for like 5 years now. Next month is going to be 5 years. We had like 71 releases. We had like about 400 contributors and 18,000 stars on GitHub, whatever that means. And people have wrote like about 5 books, like proper books of the whole thing. Many companies have been using it, like Google is using it for doodles and promotions, like kind of promoting technologies and stuff like HTML5 and WebGL. Mozilla used it for like the Moz VR some months ago. Demos, I helped them with. Microsoft also using it for Photosynth, for the new version of Photosynth for the website. Apple also uses it for iAds. I don't know exactly how, but I know that it's on the license somewhere in the system, and that's the only one you can know. And they also used it for the MacBook website last week, I think it was, for some bits of it. Autodesk, surprisingly, also uses the library for the viewer, but they have like a very modified version of it. And even Ken Perlin uses it for the things that he's doing now for like teaching people some stuff. Like he uses it as a 3D engine for that. So on the website on 3js.org, you can find more like I try to do like showcasing the whatever I can find that is more interesting. There are some really surprising stuff on it. Like the third one are like the Leia guys is like some guys that are doing like a holographic screen. So they are like trying to like build a platform where they're using 3JS for like creating content for these holographic screens, like like Leia stuff. The code looks something like this. I think this is most of like where I spend most of the time, like really like trying to make something that is nice. And I started building all this without really knowing really WebGL or OpenGL, so that has been a bit of a problem, like on how I was kind of designing the whole API. But so far, like it seems to be working okay, like defining like geometries and the material of it, and then combining things in some ways. But whenever you try to do like instancing and things like that, I'm still struggling to see what's the nice way how to like implement the things that WebGL really offers. So yeah, how did this come to be? How is it? For like some, I wasn't really like I'm not really a programmer per se. Like I used to be more like a designer. So how is it possible that this happened? So in 1996, I guess it started like my brother started on the demo scene in like 93 or something like that, and he tried to like bring me in as a guy like doing the graphics for it. So in 96, I think I spent like maybe 2 years like trying to learn how to do things with it. So in 96, we did this benchmark, which it was like a very simple like a benchmark. Well, I didn't know like they were coding it. It was like a benchmark for like testing your CPU to see how many polygons you were able to draw. And I did the drawings at the bottom, like with Deluxe Paint or something like that. I don't remember. I was maybe 12 years old or 13 years old. So from there, like I was kind of like helping different groups and working with different people. Like to me, it was like very useful to like as a tiny challenges to like learn how to do graphics for other people. Like and then slowly, like 2006, like 10 years later, I had been working with different teams and different groups to not only doing graphics, but more like directing how the whole thing. So like, you know, whenever you do a demo, you will like code some effects, but then at some point you want to have like a coherence thing to the whole thing. So I was kind of like trying to define like, okay, so at this point we're gonna have this scene, and this other point we're gonna have this thing. We need this effect for this and this and that, and then we need this music and everything. So at that point we already had like tools. So this is the one that we were using about that time, like with one of the guys. I think he was supposed to be here. I don't know. He's here. So yeah, like the guy like just built this editor and his engine. So to me, like he only gonna give me like this tool, and then I will compose the whole thing in it, and then I'll ask for like features like, oh, maybe we wanna have this effect, and we wanna wire this effect with this other thing. So this is one of them. So this is the demo, or like probably the most famous demo that we did with it. Okay. It's very distorted. Sorry, but this is very distorted. It's funny how it sounds. I just cannot play this like this. Can you help them, Ben? Shall we try again? Should I put it down? Should I put it up? Okay. That's a bit better. Ouch. So 10 years later. Um, so yeah, the way we work, it was pretty much like the guy will set up everything and this kind of sequencer. I will be able to preview the whole thing there, like in real time, and I will do all the modeling and everything on 3D Studio Max and export to his own format, and then load there and do the whole sequence and everything from there. Like there was, you could like assign curves to like most of the values that you can see. But the problem was that this is kind of like a mainstream, what we will call like a mainstream demo. This is designed to like win in a competition, like because it's pleasing and like it's supposed to be nice and everything. And I didn't really find that too interesting. I somehow found more. I was more interested in like when people will like try to explore some idea or will do something more like experimental. Or like out of like all the demos that people were doing, like I usually found those more interesting. The ones that were like kind of with both wow factor and stuff, like they used to be like nice for like that year, but they usually wouldn't like last too long. But the ones that were like really just one guy like sitting down and doing the whole thing and kind of experimenting something, usually those ones still last and still like somehow interesting and somehow like get better over the years, and not the ones that were like designed to win at a specific competition. So for like this next one, I think I actually did this one before the previous one, but for this one, with the other guys, I was using his own, he had his own, this other editor. So for this one, we were trying to collaborate on something, and he just sent me the editor, and then I spent like 1 week kind of in a town South Spain without internet or anything. And the fact that I didn't have any internet was a problem because I was not able to load textures or like even have like any lights or anything working. So the only thing that I could use out of the tool was like the only thing that was showing was wireframe. So I had 1 week to do a demo with wireframe only. So it's a little bit intense, but it has some nice parts. Weird. So we'll do both ranges. So we'll do like kind of demos that were supposed to be pleasing and nice, and then like I will get like 1 week mad trying to synchronize everything. And I will find it like very. I thought it was like a very nice challenge to like have a music and try to not really have an idea, but try to like make out of something to try to make sense or try to visualize the whole song somehow and try to make it interesting. And probably it's not like for everyone, but like I think I still like it. It's weird that it's 10 years old now. So I really enjoyed the fact that I had the tool that those tools and those editors that I could experiment on my own and experiment in real time. But the problem was that those usually demosystem coders, they don't really want or they don't enjoy when or they don't share the tools to other people. They used to have this idea of like having tools so groups will compete with each other. So that way you have like secrets, and then it's more like interesting to like try to wonder how they did this and how they did that. So I think it comes more or less from there. So usually people wouldn't really like share or wouldn't want other people to use an editor or wouldn't want to like let it to other people. And at the same time, they will always, when people want to be part, like if you're going to do a new demo, they're always going to be part of it. So you couldn't. It was rare that you will have a tool and you will have the tool and then you will be able to do like demos with it and experiment with it on your own, like without like him being like without the coder like being cool about it for some reason. So and I understand that like they have to build their own tools and they are learning how all this stuff works, and that's their own challenge. But as the guy that is kind of like trying to create all those things, if you work with the different people, like somehow they keep going back to the same place. So you will have like so now you have an editor and then you can do this and that. But then because they just build it in a way that they cannot like scale it anymore, they are going to start again. So for you, like, okay, but we had this and now it's like if someone gives you Photoshop and then you're going to use it and then you're excited and then like get it out and like, oh, but it was fine. No, we're going to do a better one. And then gets a new one that is not as good. And like it's all the time like this, like, okay. So that's just how can I use, it was more or less how it was at that point. The exception though was this tool called like demo something. That it was kind of like a After Effects-ish, like all of these were kind of After Effects and Premiere. But this one was out. You could download this and do stuff with it. But it wasn't really supported. Like it was a website and probably an email. That probably you can send an email to the guy to ask for stuff, but you will have to find out how everything was on your own. So back at the time, I think it was 2006, Mr. Garguy in the back sent me this code. It was like he had like a simple kind of actually ported it to 3. I don't have the code anymore, but he sent me this code. Like it was at the time I was doing like websites with Flash, so I knew a little bit of coding with Flash. I started to learn a little bit of that. So he sent me this kind of basic cube, kind of 3D-ish engine that had like those dots spinning. And to me, it was like you just send me some code that I can start to understand. I don't understand it. I didn't really understand what all the signers and cosigners were doing, but I knew like how to, he was drawing a circle, and then I knew like I could replace the circles. And instead of having a circle, I could just like do a line in between points, and then like, oh, now I have a cube. And at that point, it was when I was starting to like experiment a little bit. Like I was finally like touching code, like not like designing, like not like using Photoshop or like modeling and stuff. So from there, like, okay, so I can connect those points. Maybe I can just draw like a quad or like draw a rectangle. But this is all in Flash, so you're using the API that they give you. And then like, okay, so now I can just change the color of each side to see how it looks like, and it's going to be amazing, and then it looks like this. And then it's like, okay, this doesn't look weird, and then it's the first of the many problems that you have to deal with whenever you do like 3D graphics, I guess, which at this point you're like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to sort the polygons to the camera, otherwise it's going to look weird. So then, okay, this is all very fast, but to me, probably it took me like 2 days to figure all this out. So still, I didn't understand exactly what was going on, but I was starting to like being able to modify things, and I was starting to like get a grasp of how this works. So thank you, Garguy. So out of this, and like 6 years later, then is when I had like 3JS kind of built up, and the whole thing, I started to understand matrices and everything, and this is like how it started. Like I started to do the library, and we did some stuff with it. So at that point, like I think it was 2010, 2011. Somehow I was in the right place at the right time. I was doing some contracting with Google, and it was at the time that they were doing HTML5. Like HTML5 was like popping up, and we had to do a promotion. Like we wanted to show to the world what HTML5 was able to do. So we did this Arcade Fire music video that was just using, like, really trying to get the best out of HTML5 somehow. And then for that, we used 3JS for some parts of it. But then 1 year later, we did. They wanted to do yet another music video, but in this time for like promoting WebGL. And that one was pretty much like what it used to be. Like it used to be like a demo for me. So this is the website is ro.me. This is how we end up doing. Like to me, like it was just like doing like another demo. Like to me, it was like a dream project to work on.
Touched the walls of the city streets and didn't explain, sadly showed us our ways of never asking why. Cast down, it was heaven sent, and to the church, no intent to repent. On my knees, just to cry. Until you travel to that place you can he's coming to me, and someday they'll punish my deeds and they'll find all the crimes. But then they ask when they're gonna see them. They're not gonna ask to feel the ghosts, the walls, the dreams. Oh, I've got mine. At last, those coming came, and they never looked back. Like a slayer of evil, but the pride's of greed, and it's not a mask, so be honest with me. We can't afford to ignore that I'm the disease. Practical since we had to be, and when they were old, they came back to me and they tried. Oh, they tried. And when you follow through and wind up on your back, no stars in the sky, those white clouds have turned it black.
Thank you. So I was put on this project as a lead developer, and I really didn't have much experience with OpenGL before. So it was quite probably a bit too much for what I was ready, but I think it turned out okay. We kind of we developed a lot of stuff for the 3JS library thanks to this project. This guy Alter Qualia was helping before this project, and then he joined for this project to pretty much build anything that we were needing. We were building morph targets, morphing. We tried with skeleton animations and everything. And then we had some. I remember having a lot of problems of trying to solve the fact that it's interactive, but it's a music video. So there are some parts that are interactive, and we had to figure out how to move things. But I think it was mostly a technical problem, figure out how everything was working and pretty much build an engine from scratch in I think 3 months, something like that, for this. The thing was that we didn't really have. If we had to do it again, now we'll have probably a sequence editor, but it was kind of going back to the beginning, or the demo setup. So the director will tell me, can we have this light here? Can we have this here? And then I'll code this and everything, instead of him being able to have a tool where he's just moving stuff around. I'm gonna move this sequence here, and I'm gonna move this sequence there. Hopefully, if we ever do another one, it's gonna be more interesting because we'll have more tools set up for that, which is part of why I kept. I started coding with all this stuff, and I'm not designing that much anymore, just because I enjoy the fact that whatever you code, you can reuse it, and everything, all those tools that keep growing. Whenever you're designing, you don't really have tools that you can design anymore. You are starting from scratch from the beginning for all the time. So we decided to open source the music video too. So we had we were building the library. The library was open source. We also wanted to open source the video, so people will get an idea of how something like this could be done. The code wasn't pretty, but also there was some. It was maybe a little bit too difficult to fork. I think we put it in Google Code at the beginning, and then it was difficult to mess with it. But kind of people got an idea of how it kind of was working, and yeah. So I guess the only thing for this kind of audience, if there's anything that you can talk about, everything that you're using is probably super basic, and it's just getting some basic rendering, fast forward rendering to work. But if there's anything that I know about, I have learned so far, is that I know kind of a bit of open source over the past 5 years. So, and I started kind of from that. At that point, we open source the library, and I kind of really wanted to keep working on it, because I thought it had a lot of potential for other people to do things like that. I wanted the web to be more like ROM, or like demosystem used to be, or still is. So I started really devoting most of my time to the library, to the point that it was kind of full-time. Yes, it was pretty much a full-time job over the last 4 years or so. So I can say a few things about open source. And every time someone wants to do something and wants to oh, can we do this thing and also going to make it open source? It's funny that now I'm going to be maybe, I'm not sure we really want to do it open source, because every time you do something open source is yet another thing, another kid that you need to take care of. And people try to kill it, and you're no, just you had many things that you need to take care of. So the idea at the beginning is very sounds great, but then it just becomes quite a lot of work. And maybe that's a bit of a problem with the systems that we use, like GitHub and stuff like that. So far I can say that open source is kind of fun, but also very unfun. Or very fun and also kind of unfun. Because so the whole process, I'm always ambivalent. Sometimes I will wish there was someone else doing it, so I don't have to do it. But some other times, I really enjoy some part of the process. So one of the things for it is that whenever you do something like that, I was thinking what will happen if Demopaja was open source, for instance. Any of those tools from before was open source, and what I can see is that the development is actually really gets pretty fast, because someone random comes in and starts adding many features. But at the same time, whenever you need to design something, and whenever you try to decide some naming and stuff, that gets very slow. And especially like need to like keep compatibility and stuff like that. So it's always like it's hard to know what if you are on your own, you don't have to share the code. You can you don't care about compatibility and you can do whatever. But if you are like is this open source and other people have to use it, then you need to be very careful that everything still works and like people doesn't get mad and all those things. So it's a mix. You really pay for like if someone or like if you like you're supposed to like kind of oversee the whole thing, and if you make a bad decision at some point, like at the beginning, like I did in so many of them, you like try to like fix it somehow over time, or like try to like make it so like you keep adding like new classes so people can move to the other things. It keeps you up all night to try to like figure out like what's the best way to like be nice to the people, and without really like breaking stuff, and like also like really wishing that you had more knowledge at that point and all those things. But it's like whatever, like if you do some bad design at the beginning, it can take you like 3 years to fix. This is what I learned so far. And I'm still fixing some stuff. For like people that, for like I guess most of the developers, like because I don't really consider myself so much of a developer. I don't care so much about this. But like usually people care a lot about performance. So you're always struggling what's the best API that you can do that is also performant. And like most of the time I guess the fact that the library is kind of popular is because the API is kind of nice and is accessible for people that is not developers. But there are like better libraries out there that are way more performant, but no one really uses them. They're like some kind of like, maybe they're not like making so many noise about it and doing demos about it. But it's also the fact that the API is like, you need to know like it's very performant. So like you want to do a geometry, you're going to write the buffer from scratch instead of like new cube or whatever. So like usually like people that want to help struggle with this. Like they want to try to do something that is very performant, but then I'm going to go and say like, no, but this is not too easy to use, and then they're going to get frustrated because it's not as performant as it is supposed to be. And then compatibility, because whatever you do, like you need to like make sure that everything works. Like we like keep breaking stuff all the time. Like especially we change. This month we changed to we're starting to move to physically based rendering. So, and also part of it is like what the previous opponent was talking about, gamma correction. So now all the lights are kind of broken, and I'm surprised that no one has complained yet. But yeah, like everything like looks much more brighter now. We'll see next month. And then you spend like a lot of time like discussing with people what's the best naming or what's the best design for like how to encapsulate, because at the end of the day we're trying to like make like OpenGL nicer, and you need to try to see, and we'll see at some point with Vulkan and all that how that works. But it's very difficult to try to make all these like accessible. Like there are like things like people don't really need to understand how transparency works. Like people like are not developers. Like it would be nice if people didn't have to, but like this is, for instance, one of the problems. Like people are going to come and say like, oh I had 2 objects with like transparent, like but this one is popping out in front of each other. Like how you hide this from him? Like this is probably like the one that is most difficult to hide. Like they need to understand at some point. They need to understand what's going on underneath. But for most of the other stuff, they don't really need to care. Then. So yeah, you like for any library that you have or any open source project you have, like if it gets popular, you get like many people like reporting bugs, which that's okay. But like many people will also like request for features that you need to go one by one, telling them whether it's a good idea, it's not a good idea, or try to understand exactly what they want to do, and like maybe they want to do something in a different way. They can like, oh, maybe if you're trying to do this, maybe you can do it this other way. So that becomes very taxing because it's only one person. So at the end of the day, you're doing user support that is only one person. And to me, like I get like people. I mean, it's difficult to be in this situation, and it's you are like a company like Adobe. You have like many people like taking care of everyone. But in my case, it's only me. And like I get like people tweeting me stuff like, how do I do this thing? Or like people sending me emails, or like people like putting stuff on GitHub. So like at some point, you cannot really respond to everything because I need to work on it too. So it's always. You cannot please everyone, and it's also a bit stressing. But so far, it's working okay. Like at some point, people were like asking questions all the time on GitHub, but it was much better whenever we like started like sending them to Stack Overflow so other people can respond them. Anyway, so it's open source is a bit of a pain, but it's worth it. It's very rewarding whenever like someone does something really nice with it. It's sometimes surprising whenever you see like whenever someone does something that you wouldn't like. I don't know. I cannot think of anything. Like for instance, one of the guys putting using the library for like I forgot the name now. The screen, like whenever someone trying to do like whenever you can see that you can apply this to like virtual reality or like things like that. It's always nice whenever you like someone like put it on a place that you wouldn't expect. And at the same time, it helps to raise the bar, meaning that whenever you go to a website, now you can go to a website and see like someone they don't really have to build their engine from the beginning, and you're thinking like, oh, this is badly done, or this is that. Like they have some base that they can reuse. And if they can do something better than that, then they can build on top of it. But at least you are like kind of improving the web out of something like this. So over over the last year or so, I've been trying also to make it more accessible. So this is at this point is kind of the engine, but I'm trying to like also make it more like accessible to people that don't even need to like install like a code editor or anything like that. So right now they can go to like CSJS.org/editor, and from here they can. I do this all the time. Let's see if it works this time. From here they have this editor, which is pretty much like a visualization of the API. So like kind of tiny Unity at this point. And now you have a script that you can add scripts to objects. Like I think it works in Unity. So let's see if I don't break it this time. Yeah. So now, like for someone that wants to play with this, they have a website where they can go and like mess with like a little bit with the objects. They can like do whatever they want. Like they can. The idea is that you don't have to download like the library anymore to like use if you only want to have a cube spinning. Like from here, you can now export this. You can publish it, and it's gonna like give you a zip file with everything working. Whatever you're seeing here is what you're gonna have. You're gonna have an HTML5 with this cube spinning. So, and out of that, like you can like start like experimenting with this. So you just build like a simple like Arcana with it, some simple stuff that is just like adding scripts on objects. So you can like create, the whole 3JS API is accessible from the scripts. So anything that you can do like outside is just you can just plug it on top or kind of like experiment with inside directly. And ideally, at some point, you'll be like people will be able to like share scripts with each other. And I want to also make it so you can implement load libraries, so you can like load like Box2D or something like that, and you have access. You can use it from the scripts directly. So that way, you can like really like create a project directly from the editor without really having to mess without really have to like get out of the browser. And some of the stuff that I've been working on also is like I need to have like it doesn't work on this browser, like, and it works with a Mozilla browser or like a special like nano build. So now you can like just enable VR mode, and whenever you like, it's not going to work here, but let's see if it does anything. Yeah. So it will like output in VR, like 2 views, so you can just like play with it directly without having like it's already working, and you don't have to like set up anything. Like it's all ready to experiment with it. So this is kind of to try to also help. So it's for like kind of more designers that want to play a little bit with it, but they are scared to like mess with I don't know, Sublime or something like that. And also it helps for people that want to create scenes and preview how it's going to look like, because whatever is there is the engine already. So what they see here is how the whole thing is gonna look like. So there was whatever they have here, they can export the scene, and it's going to be like a JSON file, and they give it to the programmer, and the guy can just load it, and it's going to look exactly how it's exporting. Then running out of time. Another thing I was working on over these years is that I've seen like some people on the demo scene using the library for building their own demos. Maybe they're like, I don't know, 15 or 20 demos built so far, but I don't think there are enough. And everyone is building their own like kind of a player and sequencer and everything. So I've been working on one myself, so people don't have to kind of like have a base of it. Like I'm still like trying to like figure out what's the best architecture for this thing. This is just like what I have so far. Like it's coincidentally I have the car that is outside. I was playing with this same car. So what I was experimenting here, this is all work in progress still, but what I was curious about was like trying to like get I like the shape of this car, so I was trying to like generate stuff around it. So all that we're seeing is just like right now I just have like some planes moving around, and then you can see the reflection of it. So usually I just like play a little bit with it and see how, you know, like in this case I'm just I was playing with cameras here, but like here for instance at the beginning. We can, yeah, like here we can like see how the whole, we can, oh wait, I'm moving this one, yeah. We can play with the whole thing, obviously in real time, and kind of like, I play with it and see exactly how it's going to look like, and this is what I like from those days, like to be able to see exactly how the final render is going to be. So stuff like this is very hard to do whenever you're not like previewing the whole thing. And like, I like especially like, you know, it's better whenever you're like on your own, like experimenting with this thing and see what you get out of it. Like for instance, I was trying to show this to someone, and I realized that let's see, I'm going to put it on the back again. I was trying to move. I was trying to say that this you can move them around, obviously, but then I just put this one on top of this one, and then I had like two cars. And this is something that I wasn't thinking. I wasn't like, oh, I want to have two cars. Like, oh, I had two cars. Like, oh, they don't look too bad. So, like, you know, it's the same effect, and it's just something that you find just by mistake, or like just by having the option there. And obviously, if you're working with someone, like you cannot, like, you know, you cannot experiment like this. So I found the process of all this is very interesting, and so I'm starting to create it again, and like try to make it open source without killing myself. So yeah, like from here, I don't know. I like from the example I had, I like this shot a little bit. This is wow. Yeah, spin it. Yeah. Yeah, the difficulty here is like trying to find how you can build something that doesn't really rely on like WebGL or anything. Like, how can you make modules, and whether you can like make open source modules that people can like combine somehow. And still trying to like figure out what's the best way for that. And so the next thing is that I've started to work a little bit this year is compression. Again, and it's not like the most amazing compression. Like I know what the standard is for compression, like in the demo scene, but it's something better than not what we have right now. So I don't think we have that much time, but I'll show a little bit of like this 4K from 5 years ago now, that I still think is the best 4K, and no one has topped it yet, in my opinion. What's that? I like this one. the reason I still like this one, and I think is still the best one, is because visually, usually whenever you do like 4K, you compromise on the looks of it, and unless you usually like most of 4Ks, if you look at them and you don't know what's going on, you think they're ugly, or like they could look better. Like in the end, you see like a video on YouTube anyway, so you're thinking, why does this look like a render from 10 years ago? So if you see something like this, you don't really know what's going on, and you don't know how you will be able to do it yourself. So you cannot judge it in the same way anymore. You're not trying to do something. You're not trying to do a render like any other render. Like here, like I don't know how this works. I wouldn't even know how to do it myself. And another thing is that the music in this one still like sounds pretty good for like 4K. But the whole thing is pretty much. I will say is pretty kind of masterpiece kind of level still. So usually, like for other people, for other audience, I compare it to make them understand what 4Ks are. I compare it to the Google logo and say that the Google logo is 13Ks on its own, which is 3 times the space than not what we saw, which include the music and everything. You don't need that. You know what 4Ks are. But we should like start doing something like this instead of compare it to like empty Word document, because who uses Word anymore? So I mean, this is the last thing. I mean, also like starting this. I'm trying to like build tools so people can like do these things a little bit easier. So I started to do this library last month to generate like very simple kind of. It's using only Canvas 2D. It's not really using like WebGL or GLSL to generate this. But hopefully, like the way it's done so far, like can be like moved to that. But it was simpler to start that way. Like people, friends that used to do like stuff like this, like also like on the demo scene 10 years ago, they have helped. So there's this guy Kyle that he started adding like many of the modules. So how would you call them? So what I'm most interested in is like creating an API for it that also looks kind of easy to understand. So people usually like try to do like kind of networks for like generating these things, or like for audio. But I feel that it's going to be easier for like people to play with like in a stack level. We'll see how it works. So this is more or less how the API looks so far. And instead of add, like you can have add, sub, or like set. Like you can like define how the generator like combines the other ones. So another friend like built tool for it, so you can like see how and experiment with it like in real time instead of having to, code it. So yeah, you can change a little bit all those mods and everything here. And then Kyle again, I also built his own for it that also generates the code for you. So the output of this is not very optimized. Like you could like you had to like save that code, but like it's not as compressed as it could be. But so far, like we want to have something that is easy for people to use. So it's 4K. It could be better. We'll maybe at some point, but it's so far we are just adding generators to it, and without trying to we don't have noise for it so far because I think it's too big. But we'll see what's the best way for it. And at the same time, because this is web stuff, you also need to think that it's not only generating stuff because you're going to save space in the web, or for the web world. It's also you're generating stuff because it's going to be faster to download. For one of those images, it will take 1 or 2 seconds to download. You have to take into account all the connection and everything. But if you generate it, it's only 50 milliseconds. So for some specific things that you're doing games and stuff, or you do something that is viral or something, it's always good to be able to generate all those things. But yeah, this is all still very early stages, and we'll see where it goes. And that's it. Thank you very much.